what I'm doing now is something that I told myself many years ago that I would never do a job like this again because of the extensive hours and time-consuming waste of time that it takes to do this job. You know, let me tell you how it really is. I'm not getting any younger. And when I have to go to this extreme to restore a car to make a living, it's pretty much what you're looking at here is half of a rotisserie setup. This is actually one of the legs that goes on the car so we can put this car on a rotisserie. Now, I knew I was going to have to put the car on the rotisserie so I can weld the floors in and do the braces, but to do the car on a rotisserie to basically restore the whole car, I didn't want to do that. When we got to the rocker panel of the vehicle over here, we came across some extremely bad rust that will definitely need to be taken care of. And when I say that, the rocker panel actually welds to 2 plates in there, not just one. There's 2 plates. You can't even tell. I'm not even going to show you because it's just a cluster situation. But to fix all this, I can't do it upside down. And even if I had a lift, I couldn't do it on a lift because I'd be looking upside down. And the only way to fix this situation right here the right way is to have the car on a rotisserie. To hook a rotisserie up is a time-consuming job in itself. I'll have to go ahead and make a bracket system that will bolt to the car itself so I can use a rotisserie to lift it up in the air and flip it over and roll it like I need it to do. And yes, the owner will be charged a surcharge for hooking up his car on the rotisserie. So anybody that says, what does it matter? You're going to get paid for it. Yeah, I am getting paid for it. I am getting paid for it. But maybe I don't want to do this shit. You ever think of that? So the setup that you see me taking off was a setup that I used on a 1952 Jeep, and that was basically the last rotisserie job that I did, was that Jeep. And then this here little rig that I got will be going in the trash, because every time you use one of these, you got to make a new rig. You got to make a new rig for every car. Wish that thing would stay still. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's get that off of there. And now we can take this section to the back of the car and go ahead and hook it up. Like I said, I was planning on hooking the rotisserie up to it anyway, but not at this stage. So I'm not really like that upset about it. I'm not really like, you know, pissed off or moaning and groaning. I just thought that I'd be able to get a lot of work done without having this on the rotisserie. Another thing I don't like about the rotisserie, it takes up a lot of space. A lot of space when you use one of these, and you're going to see that when I get it mounted.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Pete over at D.I.Y. Auto School. I hope y'all are enjoying this video set that I'm making. First, I want to say that making these videos takes a very, very long time to do so. So I hope that you enjoy the videos, and I hope that you're learning from them. Show your support by checking out the merchandise shelf right above the comments on this video, and support my friend Pete and DIY Auto School by possibly purchasing a t-shirt or a sticker or possibly a coffee cup. Something that says, I like what you're doing, my friend Pete. Keep on doing it. So let's go ahead and move down the line now that I did my little advertising stint. And I want to go back in time on this video. I want to take us back to removing all the parts off of the parts car that we needed to restore this car. I kind of forgot to throw that in there because when I cut my wrist, and it was a very, very diabolical situation, I lost count of all the video footage that I actually made of this car, which we got tons and tons of footage that we're going through. So this is going to be a very long, extensive restoration job. And I hope that you're watching it and learning from it, and not just learning, but also the entertainment of what's going on here in the real world, of what a working man, my friend Pete, goes through to pay the bills and to put food on the table. And there's a lot of you guys out there, blue collar America, right here, that can relate to what I'm talking about. So let's go back in time here. We're gonna go back to when we tore down the parts car, and this is where we are actually removing the body parts from the parts car that we need to restore this rotted, rusted pile of junk that should have never been restored in the first place. Thank you for your support. Please comment below, subscribe, and hit that little bell next to the subscribe, and that will inform you when I upload new videos. Also, please check out my other YouTube channel, My Friend Pete, or AKA SWRNC, and click on that subscribe button. I need subscribers on that channel, and I'm counting on you to do your spare deal, do a square job, don't give me the round on this, and subscribe to my channel, My Friend Pete, or AKA SWRNC. Thank you very much. And here we go. Parts car 101, tearing all the parts off it that we need to restore a car that possibly shouldn't have been restored in the first place.
Now, get this thing out of here. Get this out. Still stuck down here. Look there. Slide this out as much as you can. And now I'm going to go ahead and explain what the situation is. Understand the deal is. And why this is our solution to what's going on. Alright, so if you look right here, you can see this is our firewall that came out of the four-door parts car. And I went ahead and cut part of the rockers off. Now the reason I cut those rockers off is if you look real close right here, you can see where this thing, and this is just like a cover plate. This is a cover plate, but you can see where it welds on, and then it would come down here, and you can see where this is rotted out, and then it comes back around on the rocker panel. So if we look at the front of this rocker panel, this would be the front right here. You can see that piece isn't on there. That's a whole separate piece. And then if you look down here at the car that we're actually restoring, where I have already removed the rotted out rocker panel, you can see that piece that we need is rotted out with it. While we're here, let's go ahead and look at this mess. All right, you see what we're talking about now? This whole section of that firewall is completely rotted out, and you can see where it basically rots into the floor. And then if we come over here, you can see the same thing is going on right here. So that's why I cut that firewall out of the car, because I want to be able to make sure that I have enough metal to replace it. I want it to look factory original, and the only way that we're going to do that is to basically graft sections out of our parts car firewall to make everything work. Now here's another brace right here. Let's go over there and look at the brace on the right hand side of the car that we're going to restore. And then now, just to give you a little example of what's going on with this car, you can see that rocker panel is completely rotted. But look at the end of this. Now this end here looks almost in the same condition as the one on the parts car. So either way you look at it, we're going to either have to fab a new piece, which means fabricate and make that section, or we're going to have to cut, splice, and dice and make one or the other work. Now another thing I want to pay attention to, and we already know this, is the front apron section of the car. You can see that I have removed it off of the original car, and pay close attention to the frame here. I went ahead and kept all the tabs for the core support to go right back in place on this car, because we're going to use those frame rails of the vehicle. But to safely secure that we're going to accurately be able to put that front apron on properly, you can see here where I had to cut the tabs off, and we'll go over here. I cut the top one off there because I couldn't get it off properly, and the inside one, of course that end one there, you can see that those are cut off, and then we will meticulously and carefully remove them off of the core support that we're going to use. By the way, this is our front apron that came off the parts car, and I once again used the word meticulous as I drilled every single spot weld out to remove this in an accurate way, that I can go ahead and give the solutions that we need for the situations that have arisen. Now, I will say that my friend Pete isn't perfect. I make mistakes like everybody else, but I learn from my mistakes and I follow through and complete the job. Let me show you one of the mistakes that I made, removing the original front apron section off of the restorable car. So if we look right here, you can see how this tab comes out. This is the way that it's supposed to be. We need that tab. That goes all the way up and it sandwiches in between 3 or 4 layers of metal right here. And what I did is wasn't paying attention. I actually started over here on this, and look what happened here. I went ahead and cut that off and really screwed it up big time. You can see that right there, because I thought this was actually part of that apron and it went all the way in here, but in reality this piece here is actually part of this piece right here, and you can see down inside there, there's no seams, and that it rolls up and around. So that's like a U-shaped box that fits in there for support on that whole operation. But what the real deal is I screwed this up. So by having the parts car, I was able to go ahead and remove this piece out of here, and then I'll go ahead and keep that and graft it into the original car once we get ready to start putting it all back together. So always pay attention to what's going on and what you're doing, because sometimes if you make a mistake such as this little angle right here, and you don't have a parts car, or you don't have any way to manufacture that piece, and you can see this has a lot of bends in it. You can see that it's precisely made for the car itself, and if you don't have something like this, you just screwed up, and then you're gonna really start crying and whining because you didn't take your time and survey the map out before you started traveling the one-way road. And when I say one-way road, I'm talking about once you start this situation, once you start removing it, there's no turning back. It's a done deal. So I removed the firewall. Now what I'm going to do with these pieces, I got several other pieces that I have to remove. I got to get the bracing under the floor. I'm going to cut that out, and we're going to go ahead and take this package tray. I'm going to cut the package tray out. We're going to need to replace that. And these can tops here in his car are rotted, but I see that these ones are rotted as well, so those won't even work. We're going to have to make those. And then his spare tire holder is rotted out on his car. I'll have to take that out and remove it. And then there's little miscellaneous stuff like part of this corner on this quarter panel needs to be removed, and other odds and ends. So I'm going to continue to remove all the pieces that I possibly need off of this car, because this is what he paid $1,800 for, is to get all these pieces, these little intricate metal pieces that we need to put the jigsaw puzzle back together. So let me get all these other parts off. The next thing I'm going to do once I remove all the parts, I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff in epoxy primer and make sure that it doesn't start rusting out on us. This car was meticulously sandblasted, and it was a lot of money to have that sandblasted the way that I needed it sandblasted. I think it was $1,675 to have that sandblasted and get rid of all that undercoating and seam sealer so I can see the spot welds to remove these pieces that I need to use, and to make sure that they're precisely and accurately drilled out so we can go ahead and use those pieces and put this back on the car where you will never even know that it was removed at all. Now you see why I made his body shop girl's here. Because she knows.
I just didn't want this to hit you in the side.
That's why I was over here. Because see, I'm thinking maybe you were right. But then on the other hand, I have to be on the opposite side.
No, it's not going to do that. It's going to fall to the ground.
This car, I'm going to tell you right now, is very well engineered for the way that it's built. This is a unibody car, and it's really amazing the way that it's built, and it all stays together and is built like a tank. Is it all loose?
Looks like it.
Okay, now that we got that on the ground, I'm going to go ahead and cut them frame rails off around there so we can get what we really need. Because I don't want to take those pieces off till we really need them, but I want to get them to where I can drill all the spot welds out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. All that work you just saw done was for this right here. Go ahead and show you. See those braces, Minnie?
Yeah.
This brace here, and then there's another one on the other side, and then we got this. That's why we had to cut that off. This, what you're looking at, this is called a unibody car, and what a unibody is, it's basically a big floor, a giant shell, and then this is your front frame rail, and that's how it's mounted to the car itself. So when I was telling you that these are engineered tanks, this is what I'm talking about, that when you really dig into a Mercedes and you literally see how they're put together, you're thinking to yourself, you can't believe it, because these things weigh what, like fucking 2 tons or something? They're big old giant tanks. And when you're looking at it and working on it, you're saying, that's the only thing holding that whole front end on with the motor and transmission. And I mean, it's just really amazing to see all that. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut this in half, and then that way I can flip it over, and when I flip it over I'll be able to epoxy prime those, and then when I get to those floor braces that I need, I'll have them, see? Okay, so let's get out of this mess. There's the pieces we needed right there. That's the frame rail for the right-hand side, and this one is completely rotted. So that right there, just having those parts, we got the complete front apron, we got our spare tire bell housing, we got our back package tray system. Come on over here. We got our firewall, very important. Okay, we need a lot of little pieces off this. These are the corners where they're rotted out in the door area. I took those off. And there's these other pieces that was really important, the rocker panel. See, where the fuck did they go? That's not a rocker panel. What the hell? We got our rocker panels fronts right here. Okay. What you saw was what it really takes to restore a classic car such as this one. Now, the owner paid, I think it was $1,800 for this car, and then he spent $1,650 to have it meticulously sandblasted. And here's another example. The whole bottom of the car looked like this right here. This is that undercoating I was telling you about. So you can see what kind of sandblast action was going on. He got a little shocked and pissed off because the sandblasting was so much, and then when I explained it to him, you know, what are we gonna do? Just give me my motherfucking check when I need it. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Turn it off.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.